Hey everyone, it is Mrs. Madsen. Today we're going to look at real world problems and you are going to be able to figure out, do I need to add to figure out how to solve this or do I need to subtract? So first thing I want you to know is that when you hear the word sum in any type of real world experience, we're talking about the answer when we add. When you hear the word difference, we are talking about the answer of subtracting two numbers. Okay, so those are two words you're going to want to just have memorized always. Did you hear Nick open up his little pop can? Thanks. Thanks a lot. All right, so how I'm going to help you understand whether we add or subtract is by giving you a few clues. Okay, when we are adding, we are taking two parts of something and we're putting them together to make a whole. Now, often these parts are unequal. It might be like a 3 and a 2, right? Equals 5. So, but in a real world situation, we don't just see this, right? We'll see some of these words instead. We'll see the word altogether or in all, or if we had something and then we increased it by another part to get a whole, or if we have both things together, right? Or if we have the sum. A couple other ones is if we double something, that means we will times it by 2. Same as like if we triple something, we'll times it by 3, right? So those are some keywords for you as you are in the real world and something like this happens where you put all of this stuff together and you want to know the whole amount. That is adding. All right, let's look at a real life situation. Jack has 545 crickets and buys 45 more. How many crickets does he have altogether? So first of all, we have that clue altogether. So automatically we're like, oh, I know we're going to add because it's asking how much they have altogether. Sometimes though, it doesn't have any of those keywords. What's my strategy then? One of the strategies I like to use is to read the question, but without the numbers. Sometimes the numbers, we just read the numbers and we get clogged up with the numbers and we don't really understand what's going on. And if we just kind of understood what Jack is doing, then we're like, oh, well, we're going to add them together. Okay, so let's read this again without the numbers and try to visualize what's happening. So Jack has crickets and buys more. How many crickets does he have altogether? And another strategy is just to kind of draw what's going on in this story. So Jack has crickets, and like I'm drawing like this, like not super awesome, right? Jack has crickets and buys more. So here's more. How many crickets does he have altogether? Well, altogether we can see that we need to add those two parts together, the part he had before and the part that he bought. So this is definitely an addition question. So now that we know that, we can actually solve it. 545 plus 45 equals 489, 590. And I'm not just going to leave the question like this, the answer like this, because it was asking us a question. How many crickets does he have? So I'm at least going to say 590 crickets. Okay, so that is with addition. We had a part right here and a part right here, and we wanted to add them together to get the whole, to get all together. How much was there? How many crickets did he have in all? Okay, so now let's switch gears and let's talk about subtraction. Subtraction is kind of the opposite. It's called the inverse of addition. And that's because instead of getting a whole for an answer, you actually start with a whole, then you take away a part, and you're left with a part. Okay, and some keywords there are like less and fewer than, left, the difference. There's that difference word that I want you to memorize. Or how many more, or how much more, or how much less, or how many fewer. Okay, anytime you have like a how many more, how many fewer, that's usually a subtraction problem. So let's look at a real world situation. Ian runs a mile in 7 minutes and 45 seconds, which is different than what's in your notes. So fix that right now. Jason runs the mile in 6 minutes and 30 seconds. How much faster is Jason than Ian? Okay, it does say how much faster, which is kind of like the how many more. So you kind of get an idea that it must be subtraction. But if we look at this without the numbers, let's see if that helps us a little bit. Ian runs a mile in this amount of time. Jason runs the mile in another amount of time. How much faster is Jason than Ian? So if I were to visualize this, I could see Jason. It says that Jason is faster. Okay, than Ian. So Ian's down here. It took Ian a little bit of time longer to finish the mile. So the question is, how much faster is Jason than Ian? So I'm wondering if I kind of want to know what this is, correct? I want to know how much faster, how much time was there between when Jason finished his mile and when Ian finished the mile. So what I think I can do here is I can take this whole amount of Ian, and if I take away how fast Jason was right here, then that will leave me this extra portion right here. So that's a subtraction problem where I take the whole and I take out Jason, and then I can see how much longer Ian took than Jason. So let's see what that would look like. Here's Ian. So Ian was actually 7 minutes and 45 seconds, and Jason was 6 minutes and 30 seconds. So if I take away Jason's time from Ian's time, I'll have left over that extra amount of time that it took Ian to finish. So if I just look at the seconds, 45 seconds minus 30 seconds is 15 seconds. And then 7 minutes minus 6 minutes is 1 minute. So it took an extra 1 minute and 15 seconds for Ian to run than Jason. So Jason is 1 minute and 15 seconds quicker than Ian. Okay, do you see how I took a whole and divided and took a part out of it? So that's what you kind of want to look for when you are subtracting. Let's look at one more problem and let's decide, is this an addition problem or a subtraction problem? Are we taking two parts, putting them together for a whole? Or do we have a whole and we're going to take a part out to finish with a part? Let's look at this problem. It says, I spent $54 on clothes. I gave the cashier a $100 bill. How much change will I get back? Well, if we look at it again and try to visualize it, it's like I spent money on clothes. I gave the cashier money. How much money will I get back? It seems like it would be like, here's my there's my whole $100 bills. What's the cashier going to do? She's going to take the money out for the clothes, and then she's going to give me some change back. So this is definitely a whole problem where I have $100. They're going to take the part for the clothes, and then I get this part back. So going back to the actual numbers, I have $100. The cashier is going to keep $54. So if I were to subtract and regroup, I would be left with $46. Okay, that seems correct with me that I would get $46 back. So that was another example of where I had a whole amount and I took some out and received a part in return of that. All right, friends, there are a couple examples of how you can know whether you're using addition or subtraction. Look for those keywords right here, but also look for, are you given two parts and putting them together, or are you taking part out of something? And the final strategy we talked about today is go figure out what's going on by just ignoring the numbers for a minute. And then that will often help you know what's going on, whether it's part, whole, or whole, take out, get a part back. All right, good luck on the practice. Practice makes perfect. You've got this.